In today's video, I will be discussing goal setting with a chronic illness. Now that a new year is upon us, there's a lot of discussion about New Year's resolutions. When you have a chronic illness, this topic is even more challenging as there tends to be so much more uncertainty in life due to having chronic illness. Another feeling that I also see come up with clients pretty often is the feeling of overwhelm. There's just so much to tackle. Where do you even start? You only have so much energy. What do you even dedicate it to? These are all valid questions and experiences. We do know that working towards your goal little by little every day does yield big results over time. But when you have a chronic illness, there's just some customizing and rearranging we have to do so that those with chronic illness can reach their goals easier. So today I would like to discuss 6 tips for making goal setting an easier process when you have a chronic illness. Number 1, visualization. No matter if you're healthy or ill, forming habits can be really tough. Our brains are not fans of change. They want to keep us kind of in the same place. It works. Why change anything? So one of the first things I do when I work with clients is we do a vision board of sorts so that we could always remember where we're going. That way we know the steps we're taking are leading us exactly to that goal. But more importantly, not even so much where you're going, but how does it feel like when you get there? You could even do an exercise like this now. Perhaps you want to pause the video and just reflect on how you feel once you get to where you want to get. Just think, where are you? What are you feeling? What are you wearing? Just what's going on? What's going on around you? What's going on inside of you? And just kind of sit there with that feeling. For example, when I was really unwell with POTS, the one image that I had in my head pretty much every day, I really wanted to, I love being outdoors. I just love being outdoors, and I love like taking walks and hiking and exploring. And that was impossible for me to do. I mean, I could go somewhere, but I would just be sitting and I would have to take breaks very often. So I always kind of had this image in my head of me and my husband going up on this hill. It wasn't even such a big hill. It was just going up on this hill, getting there and just taking in the views and just feeling the fresh air on my face. And it just felt so, I love that feeling. And every single day when there was something tough or a new habit that I was trying to form or new things that I was trying to set up, I would just keep that feeling really, really tightly within me and just always kind of refer back to it. And it was such an anchor for me that I've seen that it also works with others as well. It's just that visualization and most of the feelings that it carries with it are so powerful. So don't dismiss them. Number 2, setting realistic goals. Be realistic about what you can do and what you can't do. Maybe before your illness hit, you were an elite athlete, so your goal is to angle yourself towards that again, which is perfectly fine. But pay attention to almost the time frame that you're thinking of. So perhaps if you want to get to kind of the peak physical shape where you were, is it realistic for you to necessarily do that in a month? I'm not sure about that. 6 months? It depends on where you're at. It depends on your illness. It depends on how long you've been ill. There's a lot of factors. So it's really important. That's why a customized approach is so important. But 2, it's important to be as realistic as possible. So perhaps before you used to be able to do 5Ks, no problem, but now it's difficult for you even to perhaps do, a light walk. So maybe a realistic goal would be a light walk, and then perhaps afterwards, maybe a light jog around the park. But how would it feel? How would that feel as a goal? How can you cultivate excitement towards this goal? Because change does take time. So it's really important not to compare to the healthy version of you, to set realistic goals and to get excited for these goals as well, because even a jog around the park is wonderful. You get to feel the fresh air, you get to move your muscles and your body and everything else, and it's wonderful. Number 3, breaking down your goals into smaller goals. When you're sick with a chronic illness, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. You might have goals for yourself, for your life, so it's important to break them down into smaller, more manageable goals. That way, if you feel like quitting because the goal is just too big or unmanageable, you could just always work towards one small part of the goal instead. So for example, let's say that you've read all about the benefits of meditation for stress relief, for strengthening the vagus nerve, and you really want to try it out. But you've noticed that every time you meditate, you actually feel worse. You feel very panicky, or you do not feel good doing it. So you read about it, you want to try it, at the same time, it doesn't feel good. So how can we kind of build up towards this? One thing that has worked with, for example, some clients is perhaps at first you start by laying down, just listening to music, laying down, listening to music. That's it. Just very, kind of maybe work towards doing that for 5 or 10 minutes or however it feels comfortable. Once you've kind of mastered that goal, then you kind of move towards trying breathing exercises. which again, just done at first can also be kind of anxiety inducing for some people and can make them feel really short of breath and things like that. So kind of that would be only the second step. And then only once you feel more comfortable with that, you perhaps try meditation. Now, that's kind of one way to break up a task, but then it's also important to think of time. Perhaps meditation is more or less okay, but it's just difficult. Can you perhaps try 2 minutes? How would that feel? Going for 2 minutes for a few weeks and then kind of slowly building up to perhaps, let's say you want to be at 15 minutes and then slowly building up. So both of those factors are equally important. Number 4, have flexible goals and stick to a flexible schedule. So you might hear, if you read anything about kind of habit setting, that it's so important to stick to a schedule and a routine. Some people even put alarms. For example, at 11 a.m., I'll do my workout, and at 2 p.m., I'll do this, and at 3 p.m., I'll do that. And that might work for some people. But one thing that's important to keep in mind for those with chronic illness is the unpredictability of the day-to-day. So let's say, for example, that your goal is to work out, say at 11 a.m. and to do a light Pilates workout, and you've had a terrible flare-up, you haven't slept the whole night, and you end up sleeping in, and then you just kind of feel out of it the whole day. Maybe you're in pain, you're just not feeling well. One of the important things that I do with my clients to kind of mitigate situations like this is setting up flexible schedules. So for example, the schedule is based more around the things you do throughout the day. So for example, let's say that when you get up, perhaps you do a breathing exercise. As you're getting ready, for the day, you might do some mantras or something like this. Then you perhaps, after you're getting ready for the day and you're a bit exhausted, you might rest, and you might again do some massage or meditation or biofeedback or kind of whatever works for you to feel rested, to feel whatever you feel in that moment, whatever you need in that moment. This also helps a lot with tuning your body in more and going with the flow, right? So for example, some days you might feel as if you want to move more, and some days you might feel like you want to move less. You might feel as if at a certain point you really need to perhaps do a meditation or a breathing exercise, or not, and do something more active. So it's really important also that this helps us be a lot more in tune with our bodies, kind of setting up these flexible schedules around the things that we are doing throughout the day. And to go along with that, it's also important to have a backup plan. So in the previous example of exercising once in the morning for the Pilates workout. So let's say you do have a habit for yourself, or a habit that you're trying to form, that you would like to exercise in the morning upon waking up after you drink appropriate amounts of water if you have POTS, and then the other things that you're supposed to do to help yourself get up and feel a little bit more okay. Some days you really might just not feel well enough to do it. That's the truth. Again, the flare-up might completely knock you out. Maybe you wanted to do a 30-minute workout that just isn't going to cut it today. How about doing something shorter, like 5 or 10 minutes, or doing a 10-minute or 5-minute stretching routine instead? How would that feel? That way you're still kind of, your brain is still kind of getting into that, trying to set up that new habit, but you're not being so tough on yourself that you have to push through. And also, to go along with that, it's important to avoid self-criticism. Just getting through the day is enough. That's enough. Some things are in your control, some things are not in your control. So it's important to really be kind to yourself. It's important to celebrate everything, even if you did do the 3-minute or the 5-minute or however minute stretching routine. Celebrate. Get up and do something that just makes you feel good. I'm a huge fan of having little mini dancing parties with myself, and I've included my husband in them. And it's silly and it looks ridiculous, but it's one way that I make myself feel good and that I celebrate. It might feel silly at first, but it works. There's science behind it, and it works, and it helps mostly when you're trying to set up habits. Number 5, create a reward system for yourself. So when you have a chronic illness, it can be tough to constantly motivate yourself, and creating a reward system for yourself helps to keep you focused and motivated on your long-term goals. For example, let's say you want to do more walking, but you haven't been able to really walk for longer distances in a few months due to your illness. You could maybe put some money aside each week when you do walk, and you could treat yourself with something nice at the end of the week. That way you could even stay motivated throughout the week, knowing that there's something waiting for you at the end of the week with the money you've put aside. Think about what makes the most sense for your own goals and create a system that works for you. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just don't get discouraged if it takes longer than expected. Remember why this is important and keep going. And now finally, number 6, have someone there to help support you. If you do struggle with a chronic illness, it can be really difficult to maintain motivation and stay on track. And having a support system that helps you through the tough days is vital to your success. This could be a friend, a relative, someone else who's been through this before. The important thing is that you have someone who listens to you and gives you advice when needed, when you want to hear it, of course. And when setting goals for yourself, it's always important to remember what are your personal priorities. It may even help to write them down somewhere so you could keep them in mind during tough times. Similar to kind of point number one, as I was mentioning, having that walk with my husband and that mini hike up the hill. That was so important for me. One of my favorite things to do with my clients is to lend, of course, this kind of support. So we celebrate their achievements, no matter how big or small. If things didn't go as well as they had expected to, we adjust course and we make changes and we learn from that and we adjust. It's really not the end of the world. And that's why I really do strongly believe in the power of having somebody there for you. It's extremely important. It's really difficult to accomplish things just by yourself. That's the truth. So I hope that you found this video helpful. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaways down in the comments below. Let me know. What have you found that helps you keep motivated and helps you on track to reach your goals? I'd love to hear more about that. And if you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you hit the bell, you'll get a notification each time I post a new video. Take care, and I'll see you next time.